I think it's time to do a bike check. All right, first up, I wanted to show off the track. This bike I got almost 2 years ago. Bought off a guy on Craigslist who had it during COVID and just really rode it indoors. It had some of the like factory stickers on it still. Got it for a really great deal. And this is the bike that I feel like I've been training on the most since then. This is my road bike. This bike is a Trek Emonda, if you couldn't tell that it's a Trek by the insanely large logo splashed across the side. On the Trek, it currently runs Shimano Ultegra crank arms at 165 millimeters, 105 shifters and derailleurs. I did that because I wanted to get a power meter, and the only one that they had was an Ultegra, so a couple grams of weight savings there. It is 2 by, I believe, 11 speed. Currently have a wax chain. I am currently running GP 5000 tires in 32 millimeters, and yeah, that's kind of all the specs that I got off the top of my head. This bike and I have had kind of a tenuous relationship. I've really been focusing on road cycling for the past couple of years, and I'm kind of shifting into the more like zone 2, zone 3 kind of rides that I'm planning on doing. I've also had a lot of fit issues with this bike. I have gone to 3 bike fitters and successfully fitted on the last one, which is super awesome, hence the funky looking saddle here. Actually is like really fitting great for me. I've dealt with a lot of foot numbness and like saddle pain on my previous fits. Still dealing with a little bit of foot numbness, but definitely less. I definitely feel like this bike fit is the best one that I've had so far. This bike is the one that I'm currently riding on most of my rides. This is the one that you'll probably see the most, honestly. I also do all my trainer rides on this connected to the Wahoo. So yeah, me and the old Trek are very familiar with each other so far, and just honestly plan to get even more familiar with it. All right, on to the next. All right, the Salsa Timberjack. This bike is the newest bike in the fleet. This bike I got this last February. It is currently April, so very, very new to the family, which means I'm not as familiar with it yet. I've gone on a couple mountain biking rides, and I don't really have any thoughts on the geometry yet, or like any of the components, just because I'm very new to mountain biking, so I'm really just trying to like get my bearings in that. But I am really happy that I got the bike. This bike was a little bit of an impulse buy on my part. I saw a titanium Salsa Timberjack on Facebook Marketplace and was like, holy shit, that bike is really fucking cool. I was gonna put a bid in for it, or I did, and the guy was gonna sell it to me, and he ended up backing out, and I had really had my heart set on getting a mountain bike, so I ended up kind of buying this one, with the idea being that like if that guy wants to sell it again, I'd probably end up buying the titanium version, but I wanted to see if I even liked like Timberjack geometry. I was also waffling between going for like full suspension or hardtail on my mountain bike when I was buying this, but I think with the bike packing that I want to be doing, the hardtail is a bit more versatile for like the variety of things. May not specialize in like, you know, being the best mountain bike ever, but my goal is also not to be like ripping down black diamonds in the summer. It's just to like do some chill stuff in Massachusetts, maybe a couple of things in Vermont, and really bike pack is what my goal is, not hard mountain biking. my hope is to ride the Super 8 on this. So if I can, we'll see. If that's kind of the right fit, we'll see. But that's kind of my tentative plan right now. Everything on this bike is stock. I haven't changed anything, truly just because I got it so recently. Currently running Paraveil Clifties, 29 by 2.5. I have been considering taking this down to 27.5 just because it feels, I'm really feeling that like heavy tires and big rolling resistance, and I think potentially doing like a smaller tire could help me like roll a bit more, be a bit faster, be a bit quicker over some like really chunky rocky stuff that we have here in New England. So yeah, that's the tires. Comes stock with a RockShox Silo shock. I do weigh kind of on the upper limit of this shock, so it's weighted for like 220, and I do have it on like the firmest setting, at least up here, so I do think I need to add more PSI to the shock, which I'm just kind of like stalling doing. The Timberjack comes stock with a dropper post, which is super helpful. Still trying to get a hang of that, but yeah. The Timberjack runs Shimano SLX. Haven't had really any problems with it at all. I put race face pedals on it for a little bit more grip. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this bike is going to see a lot of the light of day, because truly whenever I mountain bike, my heart rate is like 180 for like 40 minutes just because I'm like trying so hard and really nervous. So we'll see. This one, I think we'll see more to come in the next couple years, which I'm really excited about. All right, cool. Let's get to the last bike. The All City Super Professional. Man, this bike and I have had quite the relationship. All right, some specs first. I got this bike in February of 2025, so had it for almost a year now. It came stock with flat bars and single speed, so I've done like the most work on this bike. When I got this bike, I had been riding my single speed iRow for about 7 years. I loved that bike. That bike truly got me so many places. I ended up breaking my arm last winter bike commuting. There was like a pile of salt on the ground that I rolled over, and I just kind of like fell right out from under me. I ended up breaking my arm, and I had to take a break from bike commuting for a little while. That accident also made me realize that, you know, riding around on 25mm tires in the winter probably isn't the best idea, and getting a bike that had like larger tire clearance would probably be the best move for me. So I kept my eyes open. I just kind of like was out looking, and I went to my local bike shop, and they had this guy. The guy who sold it to me kind of framed it as like the bike mechanics bike, because it has the variable dropout where you can switch it from like different wheel base lengths, and also switch it very easily from a single speed to a geared bike. At the time, I truly had only ridden single speed for 7 years, and I had like recently gotten a road bike, and I was really struggling with like the identity of no longer being like a single speed rider. I really loved that. So I thought that this was like a really good compromise for that. I rode it around a couple times as a single speed, but it had flat bars, and they were like so wide, and I was not used to that. I was riding bullhorn bars, and I was really used to like being really close and tight and really zippy. So I thought, you know, why not do some bike maintenance myself as like a former bike mechanic. I love doing that stuff. So I decided to turn it into a geared bike. So most of these specs on this bike, besides the frame and like some of the like more basic components, are all my choice. Budget came into consideration. My capability also came into consideration. So yeah, here are the specs. My All City Super Professional is running Microshift Sword. It was a really good deal, and considering it was going to be my like main commuter bike in the winter and all other seasons, cheaper group set felt like the best choice. The Micro Shift Sword is one by 10 speed. I outfitted it with mechanical disc brakes with the Growtac Equal. These brakes are giving me like a hell of a time right now. I think the rotor's out of true, and it's hard to do that without like a rotor treating tool, so it's just giving me some trouble right now. The bike came stock with FSA crank arms. When I got one of my bike fits last summer, I decided to switch everything over to 165 mil cranks. And I thought it was a good opportunity to get a power meter on this bike, because at the time I was doing so many miles on this commuter bike, and I was like trying to train, and having all of my bikes be able to like track power so I could like be more consistent was something that was really important to me. So I got the PE5 Magine powered crank arms, and they work pretty decently. I like definitely appreciate having power on like a heavier steel bike. I can get really obsessed with speed, and so knowing power as my metric instead of speed really helps. The pedals are Shimano like dual-sided clipless and clip. These are pedals that I grabbed from my last bike, my Iro, that I've had for years. You could probably hear that, the squeaking. Man. I also just did like a bunch of work on this thing, which I'm a bit bummed about. My chain is currently a wax chain on this bike, which is a bit surprising to like even me. I think I used to get bike grease all over everything when I would bring my commuter anywhere. And now, because I'm not like bike commuting as many places and in the rain, it really makes sense for it to be a bit cleaner, a bit more durable, last a bit longer. So yeah. The handlebars are Salsa Cycles handlebars. I don't know the width, but they're like pretty wide. They're definitely wider than my road bike, but they're like pretty comfortable too. This used to have Terravel like gum wall tires on it, which I really liked. I like the look of it, but I ended up having to switch to the Schwalbe, just like basic commuter tire, because I was commuting so much, and truly there's like an unbelievable amount of glass biking through Boston, so I had to switch to those. I have really struggled with like the fit on this bike as well. After I got my bike fit a couple weeks ago, I realized I was running my saddles really high. So I recently switched this, so my seat is much lower. I swapped the stem to be much lower as well. And it feels way more comfortable. I also moved the seat forward a lot because this seat was giving me a lot of saddle pain. I had the same seat on my road bike, and I was worried that it was the saddle, and yada yada yada. Kind of new fit. I'm hopeful for the geometry. I've really struggled to like connect with this bike in a lot of ways, but we'll see. Meg's here. She wants a girlfriend check.
Girlfriend check.
Handmade sweater.
Handmade sweater.
Want to do a bike check?
Self-painted nails. Look, I got it all up in my cuticles. I did a good job.
Let's do a bike check.
Meg's bike check. Dirt bike Cambridge. All up in my shit. Yankee arrows that I got in a like Hartford like secondhand shop, which was awesome for $350 back in 2022. She's kept me alive. She's also tried to kill me a couple times. Handlebars, never replaced. These things have gotten eaten up. I have been chunking on them. What else?
Pedals by Zoe.
Pedals by Zoe. These things slay.
Sweater by Meg.
Sweater by Meg. Yarn by Malabrigo. Rust a la the Charles River. This is the like 78th headlamp that I've gotten on one of these because people are always stealing them. Playing in my face. I don't know what seat this is at this point.
Bontrager?
Gone through some, Bontrager.
Yeah. Single speed. Wow, this thing is dirty.
Yeah, she's beat the fuck up. It's okay though, because no one's ever gonna steal her, and she's fast. She's fast as fuck, boy.
Shout out to the All City on the ground. Oh, something I forgot to mention. I am going on a trip to the Pacific Northwest this summer in August. And it's been kind of a debate for which bike I should bring. Been going back and forth like road bike, all city, commuter, because we're going to be spending some time like doing some longer rides, as well as some city riding, and honestly taking a carbon bike, which is the Trek, feels a bit sketchy. So planning on bringing the All City, hence why all of the work into like fitting it and making sure that it feels good. So yeah, that's kind of the plan. All right, y'all, those are all of my bikes. I hope you enjoyed watching and hearing about the history of them and why I chose them. And hopefully you are a little bit more familiar, and you'll be able to point them out when you say, oh, they're on the All City or whatever, or the Salsa, all that good stuff. Catch you in the next one. Peace.